What's up, guys? This is Rob from Dubseed.com. We are a marketplace for stem samples and acapella tracks. I'm here with a good friend of mine, Oli. We have a track of hers that we're going to go over today. Oli, do you want to tell us a bit about the track and kind of your inspiration behind it?
Sure, yeah. So I got inspired by this track by listening to a bunch of screamo music. So like early 2000s bands, sort of like Orchid and Page 99, and mostly those two bands. So there's a lot of samples in it that are drum samples, but they've been stretched and distorted to where they sound a little intense or kind of screamy.
Is this like you're going back to your screamo music days, or is this music that you've kind of been listening to since 2001 and you kind of wanted to like combine with your production, or how did screamo come back into the mix?
It definitely came back. I definitely gave it a break for a while. Yeah. I was like, oh, I'm too old for this now.
Yeah.
And then I decided, well, I'm almost 25. Well, not almost 25, but eventually I'll be 25. So I figured I should just get it out now.
Yeah.
And use it as my inspiration, because I used to listen to a lot in high school.
Right.
For sure. And I just, I think there's like a quote that says, like, the first album or thing you make is like all your inspiration up to a certain point. So.
Wow. And do you feel like that's the truth with this track?
Yeah, kind of. Maybe. Yeah, I'd say so.
Okay, I guess we'll find out.
Yeah.
Do you want to play the track, and then we can chat about it afterwards?
Sure.
Awesome. Crazy.
Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. Yeah, I honestly, I never listened to that much screamo. I was saying earlier, the Blood Brothers were the most screamo band that I was listening to. But tell us about how you kind of jump from the screamo inspiration to something that has a very electronic, and I want to say industrial. How do you feel about that, industrial?
Yeah, I get that a lot.
Yeah,
for sure.
Tell us about that transition of listening to something that doesn't have much electronic kind of roots in it, and taking that to software like Ableton and using electronic instruments.
Sure, yeah. So I was also listening to a lot of minimal techno.
Okay.
So that's sort of why it has a very linear kind of style and a slow build up of adding a bunch of elements that come together towards the end.
Interesting.
So that was like an easy way to transition it to like a more electronic style. And in industrial, I was also listening to a lot of like Death Grips and like sort of industrial hip hop.
Yeah, it's interesting you mentioned Death Grips because, you know, there's those like real screeching, long, drawn out sounds that kind of pop in and out that definitely like sit in the background, but you definitely notice them. I feel like that's something that Death Grips does quite a bit.
Yeah,
how did you? Is that something you just kind of experimented with different sounds and finally found something that sounds similar, or how did you come up with those really like screech, or what do you even call those sounds?
I feel like some of them are hi-hats that I've just like extended.
Really? Interesting.
A bunch and like put some cool effects on it. I put erosion on everything.
Okay, erosion's a trick.
Yeah.
And what is the erosion plugin? What exactly does that do?
It just makes it like you have a white noise silent.
Oh, okay.
So it just makes it like crunchier.
Yeah.
Sounding.
It's like a bit crusher or something like that.
Something like that.
Interesting. So let's listen. There's that riff that I can see you have repeating for the first few bars there, and it looks like that's something you recorded. Is that an instrument that you recorded, or?
Pretty sure that's a sample. Yes.
Okay. Let's listen to just that first section right there.
Okay.
Huh. So that's a sample that it looks like you have some serious effects on that sample.
I wouldn't say serious, just a couple of effects.
Okay, so you have the erosion
and reverb.
Twice. Erosion's on there twice.
It is.
And the reverb. Where'd you find that sample?
Just Ableton. Yeah, I used to do a lot of crate digging, and I was like, it's taking too long, and it's taking up so much space on my hard drive.
Yeah, crate digging, like you were actually looking for records.
Well, a virtual crate digging. So like,
right.
So like all these blogs that people like have done the actual crate digging, they just upload a bunch of random vinyls.
Oh, interesting.
There's a bunch of blogs like that.
Yeah, name drop a few of those blogs because I'm always looking.
Yeah, there are my bookmarks. I don't have them off the top of my head.
Well, maybe we can post some of those blogs in the description here. Yeah. But so you basically found the sample, and you distorted it and used erosion on it, and that was like. Do you think that was the starting point to the track, or do you remember what the first part of inspiration was you built off of?
Yeah, it's definitely the bass line. So I say maybe like 60% of the tracks that I make have started off with the bass line. So
yeah.
I own a bass, and I'd like to record it I like to record it directly into Ableton.
Okay, and that's what you did right here?
Yeah.
Can we take a listen to that bass?
Sure. It's a fretless bass, so it sounds out of tune half the time. That's not the bass. There it goes.
So this is the first riff that you came up with right here, and then this is like something that you built the rest of the song off of.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, very cool. And are you a bassist? Were you originally a bassist, or what was the instrument that brought you into like production?
I guess that brought me into production. Well, so I played bass for a while.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't say actually when I started producing, I didn't use the bass at all.
Okay.
Just straight up like Ableton.
Yeah. Ableton came first and then the bass?
Yeah, for producing.
Ah, interesting. Interesting. So let's go to, what's this, bar 5? And that looks like it's kind of where the song starts to kick in. And let's just listen from there.
Solo this track?
Let's unsolo everything and just take a listen to a couple measures. So what is actually creating the kind of like melody behind some of those songs. Like there's it sounds like there's an actual instrument that creates some sort of melody.
So what happened? Yeah. So what happens with the melody is like I play it on my fretless bass first, and then it usually sounds terrible. So I have to like re-record it. So I either try to re-record it to make it sound better, or I just like screw it and like get the MIDI keyboard and bring it out and then play what I was playing on my bass on the MIDI keyboard.
Okay.
And then just like experiment with different synth sounds
Yeah.
so I can get something guitar-like.
So why don't we go through that section again and just solo each piece, and slowly like add in, layer by layer. So what is this? Is this a MIDI instrument here?
Yeah. So I use granulator.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's kind of like the guitar sounding MIDI instrument
Okay.
I like to use. But yeah, so I use granulator, loading in some synth samples to that, some guitar samples to that. It depends.
So what is granulator? Is that a sampler?
Yeah, it's a combination of a sampler and just a synthesizer.
Crazy.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's on your version of Ableton, but I have not messed with that at all. And is it just you just use it for throwing samples in, and then you'll like play the samples out and whatever notes?
Yeah, so you could time stretch, you could zoom like really far in or far out. You can like micro sample with it and get some like crazy sounding stuff.
Cool.
Yeah.
So let's and so you have that instrument, it looks like twice, and you're layering, and you've panned them each hard to the left and the right, just to kind of create that room. Or what was your thinking behind that?
Yeah, I read somewhere that that was a good way to create stereo with. But then I also read recently that that's not a good way to create stereo with. So I'll experiment with that some more.
The lesson is, trial and error. Whatever sounds good works.
Right.
But why don't you explain this real briefly, this technique here of panning hard and panning left and right?
Yeah, so so the song doesn't sound like it's too much in mono. To create some stereo with, I duplicated the main guitar sounding synth and panned one side to the left and the other side to the right, and they're both in mono. So that way it creates some sort of stereo sound to it.
And that might or might not be the best thing to do.
Yeah.
The point is, if it sounds good, it's good.
Yeah, and basically whatever you know how to do, just do it.
Yeah.
And you can try something new later.
Cool. So yeah, let's keep moving forward and listening to some more parts. There's some parts that come in after a couple of measures that I'm excited to get to here.
Okay.
Cool. Why don't we dig into some of those real industrial sounds that you say may be hi-hats that are stretch, or tell us, try to solo some of those and just
they're all
tell us about your process.
So I'll start with this, wherever this is. So yeah, these are hi-hat sounds. As you can see, it says hi-hat. So every time I get a drum sample, I basically stretch it out and try to see what it sounds like. Well, make sure it's warped first.
Yeah. Warped as in?
Like on beat.
Okay. So you line it up, and then you stretch it out.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Exactly. Line it up and stretch it out. And then after that, I play around with transpose, which changes the pitch of the sample to make it sort of like, not in tune. Well, I guess in tune or fit better in the mix, depending.
Right. So you just kind of do that by ear. whether it needs to be higher or lower pitch.
Right, exactly.
Okay.
And then almost always, well, I guess I didn't do it here, but I mess around with these settings a lot. So a lot of time I'll put on beats because it gives it like a cool rhythmic element to it.
Yeah.
But right now it's on complex.
Okay.
So for this, if you want like the sound to be really accurate to, like to what it's supposed to sound like, you put it on Complex Pro.
Yeah.
Or Complex. Then again, effects, EQ everything, take off the low end.
So you got the low end off just because, what was the reasoning behind that?
I didn't want it to interfere with the bass sound or the kicks. So I guess a good way to do it is like cut off the frequencies that you don't need.
Right.
For the particular sound.
And so of course like hi-hats are sitting in the higher region of the track, and everything else you just kind of are getting rid of.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. And is that something you often do with your instruments to make sure they sit in the right place?
I do. I try to do that every time. I'm not too great with like reducing frequency or cutting frequencies.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Cool. And so these are all different hi-hat samples that have been manipulated in one way or another.
Mm-hmm.
So let's listen to another one here. It sounds like that one, did you transpose up or?
I think down, that one.
Okay.
Pretty sure.
Yeah, let's take a listen to another one. There's some real gnarly stuff going on. Yeah. Like, what is going on there?
That might actually be the same sample, just another part. Good question. So there's a chorus on this one, an amp. I use amp on a lot of things.
Okay. Let's take a look at this EQ. It looks like you've like boosted the shit out of something over there.
Oh yeah.
So there's obviously some frequency in there that you're like, yes, that needs to be highlighted within this instrument.
Sure.
Why don't we
see it without the EQ?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
And now let's try listening with the EQ on. Interesting. That's really cool. So obviously like that portion is really cutting through the mix right now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Definitely.
And then we got, again, the erosion on. We got chorus, which is, I'm assuming it's just like an extra thing you put on to give it some more flavor.
Mm-hmm. So It didn't sound just so flat.
Yeah.
Because sometimes samples can sound kind of flat.
Okay.
Then, yeah, that really... I just found out that I like to put amp on drum sounds.
And what is the reasoning behind that?
It makes it sound gnarly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess the screamo stuff is all about gnarly.
Mm-hmm.
All right, makes sense.
Let's see. I actually don't know what it sounds like.
Oh, snaps. That's definitely gnarlier with the amp on.
Yeah.
Okay, so definitely like distorts it quite a bit more.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. All right, let's keep moving forward and listen to some more of this track here. Are these drums that you manually played or took samples from, or how did you come up with the pattern? Because it's got a real nice like loose sound to it, but it also has that delay that comes in at certain points.
Yeah. So for the drums, for the kicks, I try to play it on my MPK. And it never works out. So I just like, I have bad rhythm, like physically.
It's tough. It's really tough.
Yeah.
It's like you see all those classic hip-hop artists using classic drum machines, and they make it look so easy and smooth.
Yeah.
But then when you throw samples on, like, any MPK or anything, it's not easy.
There's this guy, I can't remember his name, but there's this guy who's just, like, so fast. Like, not A-Track, but...
I know who you're talking about.
A-Rap Music or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's crazy on the...
It's nuts. And he does it with two sometimes as well, and he's like playing that thing like it's an extra set of hands or something.
Yeah. Well, I'm not that physically skilled.
Yeah.
So I just like put it in with my mouse.
Yeah, and I feel like, so are you moving the notes around at all, or are they like pretty set to the grid there?
I think these are set to the grid. Sometimes I move it around, sometimes I don't.
Okay, so let's just solo out. Can we solo out each of the 3 drum patterns there? That's a pretty full sounding kick. And then you kind of moved onto the, or it looks like you have 2 kicks actually.
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
This one's like the higher one.
That's the punch.
Then this is the snare. A little bit of a delay on it.
Yeah, that's a nice touch. Cool.
And then...
Did you increase the delay of the drums at some point, or is it just that snare came in and that's what has the delay on it? It sounded like at some point the drums started to get like, it sounded like they started to move around a lot more.
There's a hi-hat somewhere on here that's definitely doing some more delay stuff.
Okay.
I think this is it. Yeah.
Yeah. That's what I was looking for.
Yeah, I like that a lot too.
That's got a lot of flavor to it. And is that just a hi-hat sample that has some cool delay, overdrive, you cut the lows out?
Yeah, pretty simple stuff actually.
Yeah, but it is simple, but it definitely has, it sounds unique, you know? So let's hear all of it with that awesome delay sound in there. Yeah. That was the other thing I wanted to ask you about, is this instrument cuts in, and is that another drum sample that also sounds like it has a similar delay on it?
Yeah, it does. And beat repeat.
Okay, it's the beat repeat, and so instead of using a delay, you have like a similar delay sound or a similar effect.
Right. But a little less repetitive. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, that also sounds kind of gnarly.
It is pretty gnarly. Let's hear that with the rest of the mix if you unsolo that. Cool. Yeah, one thing I'm really digging is you have all these sounds that, although they have delay, sounds like they still like sit in the mix really well, and it sounds like they're lined up to a beat. So I know with delay you can choose to quantize it and have it delay like perfectly to the grid, or you can do it based on some other like measure.
Yeah.
And it sounds like with these, what's really cool is all the delays are like in sync together and all like fit into the drums really well together.
Definitely didn't do that on purpose. Well, I know you can do that, I just don't know exactly how. So I just try to fill it out by ear.
Yeah. Let's listen to this last chunk over here. honestly, I dig that last section a lot.
Yeah, me too.
It sounds like it was a really like naturally created thing, which I don't know if it is. Like, what is? It looks like you just have that same sound just repeated quite a few times over. For that last just screeching.
This one, yeah.
Yeah. So what is that? That looks like the whole sample drawn out, or?
Yeah, it pretty much is. You can solo that.
Yeah.
It's the same hi-hat sample that I've been using.
Okay.
Yeah, hi-hats sound crazy when they're stressed out.
Serious. Yeah, and so is that the original sample, that big chunk right there? Or what is that? Is that just really boosted, or?
It's like stretched out a lot. I can put it to normal.
Okay.
Well, it still sounds crazy.
Yeah. So, I'll ask you one more time, like, what, tell me what the Screamo influences are in the track. It's mostly like, yeah, I figured that would be the answer. And I guess, do you have any more advice for people that are trying to take something that is like not as electronic sounding, but applying it to, electronic software, or trying to add like more of an electronic element to it?
I'd probably say just like, so what I was doing was just continuing to listen to electronic music as I was making it, instead of listening to Screamo as I was making it, so It doesn't sound too rock influenced. So maybe like keep song structure in mind, like how electronic song structure works.
Yeah.
Which is kind of similar, but also a little different. And make sure there's a lot of layers, and I think there tends to be more layers with electronic music
than most other genres, for sure.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks a bunch, Oli.
Yeah.
Oli, Rob, this has been brought to you by Dubseed.com. We're a marketplace for STEM samples and acapellas. Big thanks to Oli, and we'll see you guys soon. Yeah, awesome.
Cool.